What if the secret to success has been lying in front of you the whole time? It just wasn't very obvious. In this video, I want to share with you one of the most powerful questions that I've found in my coaching with entrepreneurs and accountability partners and all of the folks that I've worked with so far. There's been one question that's been super powerful, and let's jump right in. So this question has changed the trajectory of people's entire businesses, and in some cases, when I asked them this and we were working through solving it, they stepped back and it changed their whole life. They might have left their business. They might have reprioritized their goals. And what I found is so many people end up suppressing their desires. Number one, their fears and their desires. So the good and the bad, they end up suppressing the stuff down so far that they're not even consciously aware of it anymore. And so here's the question. In a world where everything has risk, which risks will you decide to pursue? Okay, again. In a world where everything has risk, which risks will you decide to pursue? Now, before I get into the specifics of those words, because those words are very intentionally chosen, let's talk about some risks. So staying in your comfort zone, it has inherent risk, right? Like staying in your comfort zone, you're not going to grow, you're not going to expand. That could be salary, that could be relationships, that could be fitness goals, it could be health goals. Staying where you're comfortable has inherent risk in it, right? So another good example is not allowing your heart to be broken. I have so many friends that are, maybe they're dating or they're going through this process, and it's like they're more willing to not put a label on it because then their heart doesn't get broken. And so there's this risk that they'll never actually find the love of their life because they're not exposing themselves to that, to the possibility of having their heart broken, right? So everything has risk. That's the first thing I want to start with. Another good example, going back to my audience of entrepreneurs, is I love this one. So employees don't know when their paycheck will stop coming, but they have faith that it won't. Entrepreneurs don't know where their money will come from, but they have faith that it'll come. Okay, so again, employees have no idea when the money will stop coming, but they have faith that it won't. Entrepreneurs have no idea where the money will come from, but they have faith that it won't. So there's risk in either scenario. And I have friends that are more comfortable being employees. I have friends that are more comfortable being entrepreneurs. I'm not making that decision for you. I'm just saying, I'm pointing out that there's risk on both sides of that. So the reason that I use which risks will you decide to pursue is because decide is not the same as to choose. I know a lot of you have found me through Myron Golden or my reviews of his stuff. And so you're familiar. But for those of you that don't understand the difference between decide and to choose, decisions are not the same as choices. Choices are, there's this option and that one and this one and this one. And you can choose all the things. You get to pick and choose, right? You think of going through your frozen yogurt line and you're choosing all the toppings. To decide is to cut yourself off from any other possibility. To decide is to focus on one thing. It's to hyper intentionalize on this path, and this is the thing I'm going to do, and you're committing yourself to it. Now you can go look up the Latin root of that, which means of or from, and then to cut and all this stuff, but take my word for it, a decision is permanent. A decision is focusing on one thing and going all in on it. So a decision is not the same as a choice. I will say on the flip side of this, indecision is a decision. And so to not decide, right? How many of you, or raise your hand, how many of you are procrastinators or no procrastinators? Indecision is a decision. When people say, I don't have time for that, that is a decision. That's a decision not to have time for the gym or have time for whatever the thing is. You're saying that's not important enough for me to make time for it. So that is a decision. Indecision is a decision. And the last thing that I'll leave you guys with is advice that's served me quite well. This is something that's worked for me, and I hope it'll work for you, which is, it's a framework, it's a mindset. And so many of us, we're more familiar with what things cost. We understand what the cost of a thing is, and we can go down the road of saying we're also more familiar of what it's like when something doesn't work out. We can see that clearer oftentimes, but we're more familiar with what things cost versus what the cost of inaction is. So what do I mean by that? I mean, we're more familiar with what it takes from our resources to invest in something versus what that missed opportunity will cost us not having taken it, what that missed opportunity will cost us in terms of being able to stack that skill or that thing or that knowledge or that book or that course or that training, whatever it is, that opportunity, what that could have accumulated to skill stacked wise over time. And so we're more familiar with what things cost versus what the cost of an action is for a given thing. I hope this helps you. This question has been super powerful. There was one gentleman I worked with where we were going through this, and it was like, he was really stuck. He was in a rough place and his business was doing good, but he was stuck in a mindset. And so by asking this question, we really got to step back. Which risks are you willing to take? Which risks will you decide to pursue? And so I think this is something that's powerful to meditate on. I will see you guys in the next one.